Hi guys, welcome back to another video of a chart review. Let's directly dive into it. So first chart is a TRC. A bit hard to give you a review because I think TRC's volume is quite dry all over here, and then suddenly there's a very high volume here. But if you look at the chart wise, it's a bit of a rounding bottom. Okay, something like this. Then high volume came out, so this is kind of a rounding bottom. May kind of attempt to pull back lah, okay, and also may not lah. It depends on the counter. But currently it is quite bullish lah and broken out from this rounding bottom already. Closed quite well also. Although there's some amount of sellers over here lah from 435 to 425. So I think need to see which direction he wants to go next week before you can actually make a decision lah. Okay. Next is Mycron. I don't really see Mycron doing that well. I don't think there's much volume also. Of course, the breakout volume is quite high over here. Then pullback volume has been quite low, but I don't really see a strong trend yet lah. Kind of still sideways. Of course, it shouldn't go lower than this level around here, which is the latest higher low support. And if it does, that means I don't think the trend is there anymore lah. Okay. Then next will be Salcon. Salcon, you can see the volume is starting to come in back. You look at it in this way. So one like this. So it's still trading above this 50-day moving average lah, and seems to be supported by it. Pullback days volumes has been quite low, and then the volume on Friday has been quite kind of higher lah. I think almost 3 times higher than the previous day, or 2 plus lah. Okay, so and then it's kind of engulfing the previous day's candle, so looks quite bullish. It may set 28 as the new support for the counter lah. Okay. Next will be Bjfood. I don't think Bjfood looks good. I think it's forming lower highs. Okay, all the way here. I think it has been lower high all the way, and need to be a bit cautious lah. See, it's been kind of lower high for quite some time lah. I think this one also didn't manage to close gap, but still going lower. Okay, stock generally don't look that good lah. Okay, unless it can break out from this 66 level, then maybe you can consider to relook back. Reneuco, I think there was a heavy washout on Friday. Candle closed actually at the opening price. You can see it's kind of like a washout lah. Okay, to wash people out. I think within a few hours over here. So many people would have assumed that, you know, either 205 or 21 would have been the support, but instead operators decided to wash it down up to 195 before pulling it back up to close at the opening price, which is 21. So I think most counters tend to do a heavy washout before it attempts to break out and go higher. This may be caused by the 2-4's resistance over here, which is quite stubborn, and seems like it's not really able to break out from 2-4. So it came down, washed people out, and then may attempt to go higher next week. Okay, so next week will be quite interesting for Reneuco. Next is Hiaptek. I don't think it looks good on chart. Seems to be forming a lower low. No, actually haven't formed a lower low or lower high lah, unless you look back from here, and then if this is a low lah. Okay, so it will depend whether it's going to go back up or not, but at the moment chart wise it doesn't look good at all lah. Okay, SASBADI, I think SASBADI is still sideways, but just need to take note that there is a quarter report coming out over here lah. Okay, so not sure which direction it will go, but looking at the past history, quarter reports don't mean much for this counter lah. Okay, it doesn't really affect the counter. Need to see. I think this is one very heavy resistance, 185. Okay, doesn't seem to be able to break. But if let's say it's able to break this time, then you may be looking at kind of an inverse head and shoulders pattern over here, something like this. Okay, maybe lah. Okay. Next is Cybere. I think Cybere is kind of it kind of looks like it's taking a break lah. Okay, over here you can see volume has been quite low lah. It's not very aggressive, the volume. This volume over here selling is quite high, which it allowed it to hit about 1.4. Sorry, 0.14. If let's say we draw a line over at 0.14 and then we draw, it will be something like this lah. Okay, so I think for Cybere, it's currently still sideways, not really much of a trend, but if looking at a trend wise, it may be coming lah. Okay, but it must be able to break above 0.14 first. Okay, SCABLE, a bit tough to comment this one. You can see that there's a heavy washout here, and then the next day it pierced almost half of the previous day's candle. Quite difficult lah to anticipate such a thing. Volume is generally quite high as well, almost matching the previous day's red candle. I think for SCABLE need to be a bit cautious because of the long wicks above this area, which is about 415 to 48. Okay, if not able to break with volume, most likely is going to fall further lah. Okay, next will be DSONIC. DSONIC generally looks quite good. There is no pullback as of now lah. Okay, the bottom support is at 415, then it continued rallying higher. Okay, it broke out from this resistance 45, and then it just continues. I think it's quite ripe for a pullback lah before it can continue going higher. Okay, M&G, I think you need to give the stock some time to start forming a higher high and a higher low lah. Okay, so of course it did break from this downtrend, then we consider this as the bottom lah. Okay, then this is probably the first high is going to make lah. Okay, so it should be forming something like this lah. Okay, so then this will mean that it has broken out from the previous high lah. Okay, which is a good thing to have. So I think M&G will need some time to prove which direction the stock is actually going. Okay, AEMULUS, I think I received this chart review last week also. It's generally doing quite good lah. Okay, just bear in mind that there's some heavy resistance at 335. It's quite evident from the previous charts also. Okay, and then it has been able to break out with quite a high volume. Sorry, it didn't break out with a high volume, then the next day it managed to break out, stay above for about a week, and then came back down lah. So I think AEMULUS is going to go for a pullback now. You can see the volume is quite healthy lah, the pullback. Okay, the volume has been reducing, so there's not much of sellers actually, which is a good thing to have. So AEMULUS, I think you need to give some time. I think it will form a new higher high, possibly maybe about here. Okay, because this was the previous resistance area. Okay, and then after that only you'll continue going higher lah. Okay, I think it will have a pullback lah, but the volume from this pullback looks pretty healthy. Okay, next is BINACOM. BINACOM, let's see. This candle is a bit tough to decipher. It's a gap up and then got sold down when it reached 325, which also happens to be a resistance. So to look at it in a simple manner, this is the previous support lah. Okay, the new support. I assume 26 was a washout, 265 should be the support. And if this trend doesn't break below 265, then technically you are safe lah. If it breaks, then it's just a dead cat bounce lah. Okay. EFORCE. EFORCE is actually kind of gaining traction. If you look at this resistance at 415, so it's kind of something like this lah. Okay, then it managed to break out from this level 415. Okay, so if it's able to, I think with the candles coming out, most likely you will come for a pullback lah to about maybe 415 to 420 area, because that was previously the resistance before you can actually attempt to go higher. Okay, the volume has been quite encouraging. For past few days, the volume has been there. Okay. So I think trend wise, I think it's going to change trend already lah. My EG, nope, I think my EG is still sideways. I don't see any trend in my EG lah. It's just sideways only. Okay. Previously this was a resistance zone. You can see I just pull it out. Every time it reaches this zone, it gets sold down, and then it always consolidates within this zone lah. So for me, seems like got nothing much to see lah. NAIM construction counter, I think construction and property did quite well last week. Generally, most property and construction counters were doing quite well lah. Okay. NAIM is currently consolidating at the previous resistance area, previous support area, which turned into resistance when it first attempted to break out, but now managed to climb above, and it's kind of hovering up and down lah. So NAIM will have to break out from its consolidation zone if it wants to continue going higher lah. I mean, that's obviously. It's currently trading in a sideways trend lah. Okay, so if you see here, this is the sideways trend lah. Okay. WASCO. Wow. I don't really like this kind of candle. Basically, whatever buyer strength there was on Thursday was nullified back on Friday. So I don't like this kind of chart lah. Okay. I think because WASCO has been doing quite well lah in terms of the stock price, but you just need to be a bit cautious lah. Yeah, be a bit cautious lah for WASCO. I think it's not able to break the previous high, and then heavy washout happened. Wells, I think Wells is doing quite well. We'll need to give some time. This is definitely kind of a consolidation zone. Whether it's a distribution or accumulation, I think we will know eventually. But to me, it looks more accumulation than distribution, because most likely the distribution already happened here. So this is kind of like a stage 4. And while it quiets down, it's like kind of a stage 1 lah for me. Okay, this is how I see it. So I think it's starting to attempt to break out from the trend. Okay, if you look at the trend here, this is the trend. Okay, if you look at the previous time before it attempted to break out, it gave something similar. It attempted to go for one high first, then consolidated before it actually finally broke out. So something similar to here, it came few times and then attempted another one. This one it's kind of managed to break out but came back down. So I think it's charging up lah before it finally attempts to break out. PBA, I think the stock ran up quite high already lah. Okay, it's gonna be a bit tough to actually review and tell you whether it's it's safe or what not lah. Okay, so if you look at it in this manner, definitely this zone here, okay, this zone is the support, and of course your entire area between here to here will be your resistance. Okay, you need to take care of these two zones. YINSON, I don't see a trend here lah. Okay, until and unless there is a trend, I think it's going to be sideways for quite some time, so I will skip YINSON. DPHARMA, I think it was in one of my case studies, but then I think didn't break out, nothing happened, and the volume is increasing while the stock price is not really moving. For me, I think it's kind of sideways at the moment until it can break out from this 1.35. I don't think there's much movement for it lah. Okay. SCGBHD, consolidating now. This big red candle is not something favorable for me, so I think you need to look at this area lah. Okay, this 415 zone, if it's able to hold and form as a new support. If it doesn't, then of course it will attempt to challenge the previous support, which is about 0.4 lah. Okay, other than that, of course, it's still in an uptrend momentum lah. Okay. So for next for QAS, currently broken out of the downtrend line. As you can see over here, I think it's attempting to form a higher high and a higher low lah. Okay. This may be the first higher high, and then this may be the higher low. Okay. Volume is a bit lower already, which may be a good indication, but I think you need to give some time lah, because stock is finding its bottom. Okay. KOSSAN glove counter, I think for KOSSAN it's quite obvious. This is the resistance over here, 2.08, and I think gloves momentum is quite strong lah. Okay, from the bottom here until here is already about 50%, and it's kind of stairway, but not really stairway, but quite stairway. Okay, generally gloves look pretty good lah. Okay, so I think KOSSAN's trend is there. You may go for a pullback because you can see it's quite obvious. It's quite difficult to break out from this 2.08. But after the break, of course, depending on how bad, how intense the pullback is. If let's say there's too many sellers, maybe you'll go for a deeper correction. Hey, you need to bear in mind there's a huge gap left over here. I think it should be from the quarter report, and since then it didn't really come back down. Okay, so stock is actually quite strong. Okay, most of the gaps are actually closed back eventually, but not all gaps are closed up. Okay. IWCITY, I think this one is quite similar. I think this one follows the Johor theme lah. Okay, Johor construction and property theme. I think IWCITY is benefiting from it, and it seems to be doing quite well lah. Okay, the candle is not really favorable if you ask me. I think this is a bearish engulfing candle, and then the next day it gap up a bit. Attempted to go higher, but then closed at about 0.9. Okay, you have to see what happens next week to actually gauge and see where it's going to go to. Okay. SAUDEE, I'm going to skip this counter because I think there's really nothing for me to review. Okay, even you look at the candles here also, even if you look at this indicator for banker and retailers, one day there is, one day there isn't. There's really nothing to review lah. Okay. Next is GTRONIC. I think GTRONIC's chart is doing quite well compared to many people. I mean many other stocks lah. Okay, so if you see, of course the resistance is about here, 1.75. I think it's not able to break this level for the past like 5 attempts. So most likely you may just pull back lah. Okay, to maybe the high of the previous base. Next counter DNO. Wow, high volume here, very high. These candles may signal a possible reversal from the current downtrend, so something for you to take note of. The volume is quite strong. Okay, these volumes are actually quite strong. I don't know whether there's any transaction that took place here. I don't follow DNO, so currently it looks pretty encouraging. But if you look at it as a whole, it is still generally is still in a downtrend. Okay, the shorter trend, I think it's attempting to reverse the trend. It's attempting to have a trend reversal over here. Okay, things look quite good if you ask me. This point will be very important. Okay, this level over here. Okay, if it's able to hold, then most likely it can continue going higher. PTRB, I'm a bit afraid of PTRB because of the volume. You can see that the buying volume is always so much higher compared to the selling volume the next day. Okay, so I think, I don't know, is it the same person asking me last week or not, but if you look at INFOTEC, it has quite a similar chart over here. Okay, but the volume is much, like almost empty the following day. Okay, which you see what happens after it breaks out, then one volume comes in and everything is sold down quite badly. Okay, so you just need to be a bit careful for PTRB. Oh, also ask for INFOTEC. Yeah, I think they are the same. PTRB and INFOTEC, I'm going to put it together. Both the charts look quite similar, and you need to be extra cautious okay, because it already happened to INFOTEC before. Okay, and as for INFOTEC, I don't think it's looking good okay, it's already forming a new low over here. Challenge low that was formed in May 2023, and if you look at the chart as a whole, it doesn't look that good okay, it's either sideways or just going down. Okay, next is Dialog. I don't think it's good. I think it's still finding its step to form a higher high and a higher low, but at the moment I don't really see it going towards there yet Okay, I think it needs some time to settle down, and also prove the base is a strong base okay, for Dialog. Other than that, it's sideways. Okay, JFTECH is currently sideways. Volume has been quite thin if you look at it throughout the few days. Okay, it has challenged this level twice. This one didn't manage to break out. Yeah, there is heavy resistance over here lah. If you look at it, this zone, okay, quite heavy the resistance, and then you see candles are coming down, so it doesn't look that good lah. Okay, you can re-look back if let's say the counter is able to break out from here lah. This 985 looks like quite a stubborn resistance lah. Okay, you can re-look at it. At the moment, I think it's still sideways lah. HARTA similar to KOSSAN and most of the other glove counters. I think it's there is some form of momentum which is quite strong over there. You can see it from here. Once the quarter reports release, it opened and it continued just flying higher lah. Okay, and since then it didn't really look back. So I think generally it looks pretty good lah for glove counters. Okay, I wouldn't really look at a support and resistance because, as you know, gloves has been consolidating for the longest time ever. And I think the trend should be quite intact now lah. I think most of the retailers would have sold lah. Okay, of course this is a bear bull fight zone, and if it's able to break out from this zone, then most likely it's going to do good lah. Okay, risk cap I think is already at 52-week high, if not the all-time high. I think there's not much resistance ahead, but the candle shows that profit taking is already happening. Okay, so you need to be a bit cautious. Though the momentum is strong, definitely every stock will have some form of profit taking. Nobody is going to hold until they die. Okay, so this is one very obvious candle that there's profit taking. And if you look at here, this candle also very high volume, but there's not much movement, so you know there's something wrong. Okay, so most likely there's some form of profit taking already for risk cap. CENGILD I will skip because I think it's already at 52-week low zone, and I don't think there's any form of trend coming out for CENGILD. Okay, EKOVEST I think it's quite similar to IWCITY. Okay, it's also following the Johor theme trend. Looks to be pretty good. Okay, but it needs to break out from this resistance lah, and it seems like it's finding some difficulty lah to break out from this resistance at 595. Okay, so need to take note of this level lah. MSM, I think it's kind of pulling back now, but you need to take note the number of days that there were higher longer weeks above. It's actually quite a lot lah, almost every single day lah. So this shows that there is definitely some resistance from 1.78 to about 1.86 level, which you need to be alert of lah. Okay, to see. But if you're talking about trend wise momentum, actually MSM's trend and momentum is very strong lah. Okay, no matter what the market sentiment is, it's still able to climb higher. Okay, so it's good lah. Okay, next is EPMB. I don't think there's much for me to review in EPMB. I think you need to give some time, because it looks more like sideways downtrend kind of manner, and it's slowly going lower. So yeah, I will skip EPMB. CRESNDO, I think this is a very low float stock, low float share stock. Let me check. Yeah, 57 million. This stock can go up and down very easily and very fast, so need to be a bit cautious on that lah. Okay, it's currently at a 52-week high, if not all-time high, and I don't think there is a resistance to it lah. Okay, I don't think this kind of chart can really review. If you really want to search, you can just check maybe the Fibonacci retracement. Okay, so otherwise it will be something like this. That will be your next resistance. Okay, Epicon, I think this is the base that he has found, a new base from the pullback before he attempts to go higher. At the moment, the pullback volume is pretty low. I think that is quite constructive lah. Although this candle is quite scary, I think generally it's quite constructive already now. Looking at the candles forming, it's much less for volume now. Okay, much lower volume now, so quite constructive lah for me. Okay, DCHK, I don't think it looks good yet. I think this was a very heavy washout from the quarter report. okay, and then subsequently continue higher. It's currently kind of like in this range lah, within this range over here, and it will continue sideways until it can break up or break down lah. Okay, so next pekat, pekat seems to be forming some VCP pattern, something like this, 1, 2, and then 3. So if it's able to break out, then it will look good lah. That means it has consolidated 3 times. It has had 3 times washout of weak retailers before actually breaking out, which is something very good lah. Okay, pekat is a solar counter if I'm not wrong, and it's kind of, it will follow in tandem with the other solar counters like SolarVest, Sunview, and Samaiden lah. Okay, and my last stock is SCGBHD. I don't think it looks good. It has broken down from this base support. Okay, so you just monitor and see whether the following week it's because the volume is low, so just monitor and see the following week whether it continues going lower or not. If it goes back up, that means this is just a washout lah. Then it will look something like Reneuco. It's just a washout before it attempts to break up. Okay, so that's for SCGBHD. Other than that, I think it's quite sideways lah. It doesn't really look like there's a trend change anytime soon, unless this was a real washout and it attempts to go higher after that. Okay, so that'll be all for this week's chart review. So just a disclaimer, this entire video is just for educational purpose. There's no buy and sell call involved, and if you require a buy or sell call, please look for your license reminder lah. Okay, nothing in this video should be considered a buy or sell call, and it is just for educational purpose lah. Okay, so that'll be all for this week's chart review, and I will see you guys next time. Okay, thank you, bye bye.
If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos.